A lot of conflicting things about like people breaking into your house. They could be walking out of your house with your TV. You can't use your weapon. Like only, I guess I don't understand maybe exactly the stand your ground
Right.
rules.
Right.
And
Well,
they say
obviously,
bodily harm. If someone means you bodily harm, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to kill you, does it?
well, okay, all right. Yeah, you actually hit a really good point here. Okay, we'll use the analogy: somebody breaks into your house. Okay, so you're in your living room, and this person breaks into your house.
Now this is Florida
This
law, as
Florida,
far as you
yeah,
guys know,
yeah,
right?
Florida. Okay, so yeah, so
Because rules are different depending
They
on
are.
what state.
They
Different
are.
states.
Yeah,
it's different,
absolutely.
yeah.
So somebody breaks into your house and they say that they're here, they're robbing you, on and on and on, and you're in fear for your life. You truly believe that this person is going to do harm to you or your family members. You have a right to use force on that person as long as you can justify
But if there's a
it.
stranger in your house,
Well-
I mean, that's a possibility that they
Well-
have a weapon or they're going to harm somebody.
Well, that's where I'm going with that. First of all, you don't know who this stranger is. Now, this guy could be a black belt. It can kill you with his hands, right? Or he could have a knife in his pocket. He could have a gun in his pocket, and on and on and on. And we can go the what if all the time. But if you can articulate, honestly articulate
Yeah.
that that you're in fear for your life, or you're in fear for your spouse or kids or something like that. Yeah. Now, on the flip side of that, the person grabs you, like you said, the person grabs your TV and is walking out the front door, and you came home and you went through your garage and didn't know the person was in the house, and you look over and there's a guy carrying a TV out the front door. You can't shoot him in the back just because there's no threat no more at that
Right.
point. At that point.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
so I'll talk to people who will say, so, who would tell you that, if they're in my yard, I can shoot them.
They're going to have a problem.
They're going to have a problem.
They're gonna have a
unless
problem.
unless they're pointing a weapon at you.
Right.
They're pointing a gun at you. That's a totally different thing. But
Well, people say that I have the right to defend my property. I have the right to defend,
Sure, you do have, and you absolutely have the right to defend your property, but you said the front yard. All right, you're standing at your door, and somebody's standing in their front yard, and that's the crime of trespassing. It's not
Yeah.
burglary, it's trespassing. That's a misdemeanor, okay? And they're not showing any type of aggression towards you, or whatever. You can't just pull your gun and say, "Well, he's my property. I'm going to kill him," or because you're going to get in trouble. That's the one. But because the way the law looks at it, you can close your door, lock your door, and call 911. Because there's an avenue of escape or an avenue of path
Right.
of least resistance or something like that.
So in some states, like you have to, if I understand this correctly, someone
to
could be in your
retreat.
house. They could pull a knife on you, but it's still your obligation to try to escape.
you have to retreat.
You
In
have
some
to retreat.
situations, you have to
You
retreat.
have to retreat as far as you can, and if you
Yeah.
can't retreat, then you can use.
Yes.
Where Florida,
But if you can get out.
if someone's in my house
if somebody's
and
in
they
your-
pull a knife on me and I shoot them and I didn't try to retreat, I just shot them. I live in Florida. I can do that.
In some jurisdictions, if you walk in, like we talk about, you come into the garage, you come in the kitchen.
Yeah.
The guy's standing in the kitchen. There's nobody else in the house. You live there by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Just hypothetically, you live there alone. You walk in, the guy's standing there. In some jurisdiction, you got to walk out. Now, what I would do, I wouldn't shoot him. A couple of reasons. I don't want that on my conscience. I don't want to have to shoot somebody.
Well, if they're just standing
Nobody-
there, there's no fear of bodily harm or anything at
that point, there's
right?
no. If the guy's got a knife,
I mean, it's frightening, but
if
there's
the-
no.
We talked about the 21 foot rule.
Mhm.
About somebody can traverse 21 feet before you can get your weapon out, and they've done studies on this kind of stuff. So if you're in your kitchen and you've got a garage, you've got a car here, and they're coming at you with a knife, in that situation, you're probably justified in using force to protect your life. But you have to show that, like Mark said, you got to show that fear.
Right.
So you always hear, like I've heard, like if you can use your weapon if you're in fear of bodily harm.
Yes.
But bodily harm, I mean, does that another word
Great
for
bodily
death?
harm, I think is the
Great
word.
bodily harm.
Great bodily harm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But on the flip side of that, you don't know if this person's Chuck Norris. You're I
Yeah.
mean, Chuck Norris can knock you out in one punch.
He can kill you.
He can kill you. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So
There must be lots of scenarios where people use their weapon and then in court discovered that, maybe their lives weren't in jeopardy, and then now they have to go to prison.
Well, you take a
You
situation
know what I
where
mean?
somebody
That happens a lot of them.
somebody's in their backyard and somebody comes at them. They happen to be carrying a weapon. They're carrying their gun with them. and they get knocked down, and the guy's got, you know, he's got a boulder this big, and he starts hitting you with that
That's
boulder.
a blunt instrument.
That's
Yeah.
a blunt instrument, and moreover, yes, that can kill you. You get hit enough times with that thing, you take your weapon out and you can shoot him.
Yeah. So
Because you want to protect you're protecting your own life.
the George Zimmerman thing, when that happened, he claimed the stand your ground thing, but Trayvon Martin was on top of him, bashing his skull into the concrete.
Yeah.
That's not stand your ground, is it? I mean, that's just defending your
That's
life.
defending your life.
You look at-
Yeah.
I mean,
maybe
someone,
an
you can
element-
only get your head
Is an
smashed on the
element of it,
concrete so many
Is
times.
an element of it, do you think?
It
The
could
stand
be.
ground?
It,
You know?
it could
Think?
be. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
After they've already put their hands on you and they're
But he
physically assaulting you like that.
He could forget about The Rock. We talked about The Rock a minute ago. If somebody's got your head and they're doing this to pavement, you're going to go unconscious.
Yeah.
And after that,
Well, did you see the back of Zimmerman's head? There was pictures of it. It was
Yeah.
about to crack right open there.
Yeah.
But I figured stand your ground was someone coming at you before they get their hands on you, kind of a thing.
well, it's
Stand
more
your
like
ground.
An overall,
yeah, it's kind
it's
of
like
like
an umbrella.
yeah, like a totality,
Yeah.
that type of thing. You know, it's kind of, we talk about it. Remind me of that movie Gran Torino with Clint Eastwood. You know, get off my lawn.
Yeah.
He's got the
Yeah.
gun. He's got the gun out there.
Yeah.
You have a right to protect your property. Yeah, absolutely.
So if someone's on your property
Yeah.
and you don't want them there and they won't leave, you have a right to.
Protect yourself and your property.
Well, they won't
Yeah.
say that someone's on your property. You tell them to leave. They won't leave. Maybe they're yelling stuff at you, threatening you. You can
Yeah.
pull your weapon out.
Yeah. Now you said something really good there. Threatening you. Oh yeah, I'm gonna kick your ass. I got something in my pocket.
Well, if they won't
Yeah,
leave,
yeah.
but they're not threatening you, you
Right.
probably can't pull your weapon out.
No.
It's probably never a good idea to pull your weapon out if you don't intend to use it, I've always heard, too. Like, if you pull your weapon out, you better use it.
Well, remember, let's go a step further with it. Any weapon can be used against you also. So you got to remember that too.
What is it?
Any weapon can be used against you also. Because I've had people say to me, "Well, I want to buy this gun, and but I'm a little afraid. I'm afraid of guns, and I want this gun, and on and on and on." And I said, "What kind of gun should I get?" Well, that's totally up to you. What you want for defense. Smaller guns are for more close quarters. Bigger guns are for distance. So one guy said to me, "Well, I want a good sized gun." And I said, "Okay, so me and you pull a gun on me, and me and you get into a tussle, and I grab the gun and I start bending it. The next thing you know what? Guess what? I've got your gun."
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "Oh wow, I never really thought of it that way."
So if you have
Yeah.
a gun on you and you pull it out and someone tries to take it away from you, you better shoot that person. Because if they get
This-
your gun, they could use it on you.
Yeah, there's been cops. That's happened to a lot of cops. They're on the ground rolling around with the guy, and you see the
Wow.
bad guy trying to pull the gun out of their holster. And it goes. There was a case in I want to say it was Lee County, probably maybe 5 years ago, maybe a little bit more. A Lee County deputy was on a traffic stop, and I'm getting a fight with the guy for whatever reason. The guy was on top of him and pretty much beating the crap out of the deputy. And a civilian with a concealed weapons permit got out and shot the bad guy.
And what happened?
He was not arrested
Yeah.
because he said he felt that he was killing the cop because he was choking the cop.
Well, or
and-
if he would have choked the cop out, he could have pulled the gun and shot the cop.
Sure, absolutely, yeah, absolutely, yeah. So and that guy, and I actually watched an interview with him about a year later, and he was very distraught. He took, like you said earlier, nobody wants to take a life.
It's
if you want to take a life, you're crazy.
It's a big thing.
Yeah, it's huge.
I mean,
It's huge.
It's the
Yeah,
biggest
was-
thing you can do.
I was at Journeys Academy. It's a school for basically kids that have been expelled.
Yeah.
And it's their last chance.
Yeah, I know
Because
what
you
you're
don't want
talking
them at home doing nothing.
Right.
So technically they should be expelled, but they go to Journeys Academy, and that's where all of the kids that have all these issues are at.
Right.
And I was out there doing some artwork on the outside of the building with about 5 kids. And I think they always have, just like any school, they have a police officer there.
Yep.
But the police are always coming because kids that are getting in trouble, it's almost like everyday thing where they have to escort a kid to the police car and take him to jail for
Right.
something.
And then you have to replace that cop while he's at the jail.
And yeah,
Yeah.
so there were always cops coming and going. And I for a couple of months I was up there doing some artwork, but there was this one kid that they were walking to the police officer was walking this kid out. They were walking right, and it happened right in front of me. There was a tussle. The kid grabbed the cop and slammed him on the ground.
Wow.
And I was on this 2-foot ladder, and it just happened so fast. And the cop, I could see the gun on the cop, and the kid had just slammed her on the ground, and I literally jumped off the ladder and landed on that kid. Like
Wow.
a pro wrestling.
Right,
move.
right off the top
And,
ropes.
Yeah, I got on top of him, and I just squeezed him as hard as I could.
Right.
Like,
Right. Well,
almost like trying to squeeze the life out of this kid. I wanted that kid to know that he wasn't going to move.
Mhm.
And the cop got up and thanked me and stuff. But I was worried that, like, if you just stand there,
Right.
he could have got that cop's gun.
Take the gun
Or
away.
he slammed the cop, could have knocked him out cold. He could have hit his head on the concrete. I didn't know what really was
Yeah,
going on.
and you don't know that cop's. I hate to kind of babble the cop, but you don't know his conditioning.
Mhm.
Whether he or she works out, takes
Mhm.
training serious.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times did you go to training where you're just like, oh, here we go again,
Yeah.
arm drag takedown, and all that stuff. So yeah,
Mhm.
so you obviously you did the right thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely did the right thing. If I left here right now and I was driving down the street and I saw a cop rolling on the ground, I would jump. I'd be the first one to
Yeah.
jump out. They probably would say, "Who's this long-haired freak? Coming at
Yeah.
coming at us?"
I want to thank this
Yeah,
guy.
yeah. But yeah. And we need people out there. The police need to be protected also.
Yeah.
Protected also legally and physically. They need to be protected. And that's why I like programs like the community law enforcement academies. Shop with a Cop and stuff like that. I like programs like that because it shows the personal side of law enforcement. It doesn't show arrests and all that stuff. It's the community law enforcement academy. Like SWAT comes in one time, traffic unit comes in, and people get to see the breakdown of agencies and pretty much what cops do. They do ride-alongs and stuff like that. Those. So if we talk about defunding the policing or social programs, let's put, if we're going to defund a little bit, let's put some money into those type of programs to show the good side of law enforcement. And 99% is the good side of law enforcement. So.
So do you guys know, or do you have any stories of people using their guns in so-called self-defense, and then ultimately it was ruled that it wasn't a self-defense thing, and then they wind up going to jail?
I was never.
I just worry
I've
that
never
I
been
think there's a
involved
lot
in
of
it.
people out there that think that
There are people out there that
there's a
think
lot of people that carry
Right.
around here,
Right.
and
they've got a big misconception about what that weapon is for.
yeah, you have to be careful.
And how to
Like,
use it.
I always feel
It's
like if
not-
your life isn't in danger, then
It's not a toy.
No.
It's not a toy. And what we did was not. We weren't Starsky and Hutch, and it wasn't all that kind of crap.
Right.
That wasn't reality.
Mhm.
And it irritates me when I see people who fool with guns, who think it's a game. It is not a game. It's deadly.
Mhm. So
Well-
there's a lot of people also out there that have guns and they have zero training.
Right.
There's people out there that
that's the
carry
problem
their
down here.
weapon with them everywhere they go, and they've never been to the range, and they've never fired the weapon that they have on
And
them.
that's outright
There's
scary.
a lot of women like that.
You know
There's
how
a lot of
easy
men
it
like
is.
that.
You know how easy it is to
Outright.
get a license to carry down here.
It's easy.
It's ridiculously easy.
Yeah.
You go on a computer. And,
Well, I
You have to take a class for a couple hours. That's
Take
it.
a 4-hour class,
Yeah.
and you do. They did dry fire. And I thought to myself, wow.
Oh, really? They don't even fire the gun?
We're going to fire the gun.
Yeah.
And I had training, or you had training. It's not a big deal for us. And I kind of actually, when I got the license to carry, I thought to myself, well, I'm retired law enforcement. Maybe there's some avenue for us that makes
Right.
it easier. And I'm looking at this thing. I'm going, they're giving these things out to people without any kind of training. They should have to go to the range.
Yes.
And they should have to show their proficiency with that weapon.
Right.
When
But
I
they
got
don't.
mine 10 years ago or so,
Mhm.
we had to do it at Shoot Straight, where you actually had to load your weapon,
You had to fire.
Right.
fire your weapon, and all that stuff.
You should be taught malfunctions.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
All that. And you probably should have a course on legality of carrying the gun.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about all morning.
Mhm.
Shoot, don't shoot. That type of thing. Also.
That's
So-
my thing. Is I feel like there's a lot of people there's a lot of misconceptions out there on when you can use a weapon and
Right.
and stuff like that. And I
Right.
think a lot of people think that you can use your weapon when technically you probably can't, and you're gonna
Well,
get
you're
yourself.
gonna
into it.
end up finding out that you,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
made a
and-
mistake, and you're
yeah.
gonna end up
It
on
could
the
be
wrong side of the bars.
or it could be a fatal mistake.
It
Well,
could
because
be.
of the defund the police movement and all this crap, a lot more people are getting or in fear for their lives.
Sure.
Or
Understandably so.
Yeah, crime is up.
Yeah.
through the roof,
If you
and
wanna-
murder rate is skyrocketing, and people are getting their concealed weapons permits.
I'll tell you what you do. You look at somebody. You put a weapon down, and you watch how they pick that thing up, and that's all I need to know.
Finger goes right on the trigger.
The
Right on
finger
the
goes on the trigger,
Yeah.
or they take it up and go, yeah, this is a nice. You
They
want
point
to
it
see
right
it?
at you, yeah.
And they point it at you.
Yeah.
The weapon is always loaded.
Mhm.
You keep your finger off that trigger.
Keep it on the frame.
You
Yeah.
keep it on the frame, and like what we would do. Well, we would go to the range, and you'd have to give the range officer the weapon. We'd clear it, and we'd rack it back, and we'd hand him the weapon.
Right.
You check it, you hand him the weapon. But when I see people picking up a gun and like, how do you clean this thing? Well, you look down the barrel.
Yeah. Oh, God.
And how many people have been killed cleaning guns?
Legitimately,
Yeah,
not the suicide ones.
no, not suicide. No,
Yeah,
legit.
legitimately
Yeah.
killed themselves or
House.
killed somebody in their house.
Well, look what happened 3-4 weeks ago in Altamont Springs. The girl, did you hear about this? The girl was on. She works from home. She was on a Zoom call, and she's doing her work on her Zoom call. Her little kid finds a gun and kills her.
Yeah.
That's just. I
The
mean, that's,
dad kept a loaded gun by the bed, and you could, on the Zoom call, the little kid pointed at his mom, thinking it was a toy, pulled the trigger, and killed his mom.
that's just. That's so sad. It's
That was
so
in
many-
Altamont?
That was in Altamont. Yeah.
Oh, shit, I didn't
yeah,
know that.
Yeah. How sad
That
is
was
that?
that made national news.
It did.
I
It
didn't
did.
know that
How-
happened in
I
Altamont.
mean, that is literally heartbreaking.
Wow, that happened
Yeah.
in Altamont?
Yeah.
I can't understand anybody leaving a loaded gun lying around. You got little kids and stuff like that.
But they had two little
Yeah.
kids.
But you can go to Home Depot, and you can buy this little safe. It's about this big,
Yeah.
Right.
and it uses your fingerprint
Yep.
to open it up, or you got a key, or you got a password, and you can take that weapon and you can put it in there, and nobody can get at it except for you. I mean, you've got to be.
Isn't that pretty simple?
It's simple. Like, what is it, $100 something
Yeah,
like that?
yeah.
For safety.
That's probably the best $100 you ever spent.
Exactly.
You know, especially with
Exactly.
kids.
I don't have, well, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have little kids in my
Right,
house, so I
right.
don't.
But here's the other flip side of that. Somebody breaks into your house, or my house, or your house, and they take that weapon,
Hmm.
and say it's some stupid 12-year-old
And then you
kid.
come home, and then they have your weapon.
They have your weapon,
Right.
and they can shoot you, or they go out and they shoot somebody else.
Yeah.
They go down to a corner. Maybe they're shooting at a cop driving by,
Right.
like in Orlando.
Right. Yeah,
And these things
gun
do
safety
happen.
is huge, huge.
And it's
but
just not enough.
It's not
Not
just
enough.
point and shoot.
No.
You know, it's
And well, you know yourself, you can take that weapon and you go, somebody with as far as where that curtain is,
Mhm.
and you'll miss.
yeah.
When I was in the academy, I'll just tell you a quick thing. When I was in the academy, and we, one of the things they did for us, the DIs, they had all the cruisers. We had night fire. They had all the cruisers lined up, and they had us in like 4 guys
Yeah,
each.
yeah, I get it. Well, yeah.
You know, and they had us running and all this other kind of stuff, and they're screaming at us and sirens and all this kind of stuff. And then it was you had to run up there and threat, and you had to fire your weapon. I put my first 4 rounds into the dirt,
Really?
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that was a huge wake up.
When you're under
The
stress or
adrenaline,
under pressure.
stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, and
That's
they were
huge.
talking about
Yeah.
focus.
Well, and when you hear all the time, you hear in these police shoots, well, they fired 38 rounds at him 4 times. That doesn't surprise me in the least,
No,
actually.
no.
Not one bit.
Nope.
Because the cop is just as amped up as the bad guy is.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of
Yeah,
people,
yeah.
they'll carry a gun that has a safety on it. And if they're in a situation where they absolutely need it, life or death, you can't think straight. And I bet you a lot of people couldn't figure out how to get their gun off of safety, probably, even though
No,
they've done it a
no.
1,000 times. But when you go to the range and you shoot, you're not under that kind of
Well,
stress
you're
or
in
pressure.
a little bit of a controlled environment. Yeah, and you have safety officers there that obviously, hey, whoa, don't do that.
But
you
that's
know?
why you do
Yeah.
go to the range, and that's why you
Right.
do train with your
You have to
weapons, so that you
practice.
can
You have to,
practice
yeah.
taking it off
Right.
your safety, so that when you do need it, it's a natural
Right.
sort of.
Well, it's
thing.
kind of like the Boston Marathon. Okay, it's 26.2 miles. I'm not dumping on you guys, but none 3 of us can say, hey, let's go run the Boston
Yeah.
Marathon. You have to train for that.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
train quite a bit, mentally and physically. You have to train for that, just like carrying a gun. Mentally, can you pull the trigger and kill somebody? That's a big mental thing also. Yeah, you know.
You don't wing them. That's the other thing. Why didn't they shoot him in the finger? Why didn't they shoot the gun out of his hand?
Right.
Shoot him in the leg.
Shoot him
Shoot
in the leg. Yeah, yeah.
Like Clint
yeah.
Eastwood.
You know,
Yeah.
and that doesn't work
Yeah.
because you have a half a second, like the police officer that killed that girl.
With a knife.
with a knife.
Yeah.
And he had a tenth of a second
Yeah. Yeah.
to pull that weapon, aim, fire, and hit the target.
Yeah. You have to stop the threat.
Yes.
And
And
what
he
you do
stopped
is
the
you
threat.
aim for the biggest parts so that you don't miss.
We're
Center
trained.
mass.
We're trained.
Right.
Center mass. That's what we're
Center
trained
mass.
for.
I mean,
Yeah.
if they're leaning over, you're gonna
Yeah.
hit them
Yeah.
in the
Yeah,
head.
don't shoot for the leg because odds
No.
are you could miss.
You could miss. You could hit
And-
somebody.
yeah.
And you could hit
And that's
some-
how you train.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's kind of simple, isn't it? Yeah.
Got to train.
They don't train you to shoot for the head.
No.
No.
Well, we
No, I
did.
mean-
No.
We did at one point.
I think
Yeah.
a couple of times we did do headshots.
Yeah, but that's a much smaller area than the
for our-
torso.
Yeah, but for our qualification course was the torso.
We
obviously.
we
Yeah.
had at like the 3-yard line, we had like a triple tap, and it was 2 here and 1 here. It was bang bang bang.
Yeah. You know, that reminds me
It
of.
was-
If we might if we wrap it up with this. Reminds me of, remember Lethal Weapon, the movie Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
And Mel Gibson and Danny Glover are they're at the range. They're in their indoor range, and they're firing away. And Mel Gibson, boom, 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 and he's got the smiley face, you know, with the 2 eyes.
Yeah, good luck doing that.
Yeah. I would say
Only in the movies.
Yeah, only in the movies.
Oh,
yeah,
maybe.
I mean, I gotta be honest, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
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 So.
Maybe